Call now.
Charles Miller back on the show this morning with Scenic City Neurotherapy, and this morning we're going to talk something different that you do at the office. Still, it's going to help with brain health. So if you're watching this morning and you're dealing with PTSD, depression, anxiety, I'm sure any other number of things, this is something called TMS therapy. Is that right? It's insurance reimbursable often.
It is. It's transcranial magnetic stimulation. We've been offering this for about 5 years now. We are one of the few providers in the country that offer what we call a ketamine-assisted TMS program, because we are a ketamine infusion center who also offers TMS. The combination of these two therapies, so transcranial magnetic stimulation, we've talked a lot about how ketamine infusion stimulates the brain to repair itself. Well, TMS is just a different catalyst to do something very similar. It stimulates a very targeted brain health in the frontal lobe, right up here where you think and feel and where depression and anxiety exists in the brain.
Okay, so you know I'm always going to have 1,000 questions.
Yes.
You understand it, I don't. So I hope that my questions might be questions that people watching would ask if they were talking to you. So let's do our little pretend hypothetical, and a 28-year-old woman comes into the office. And does she have to have a diagnosis first off of a problem?
She doesn't have to have a diagnosis yet, but we will have to get one before we move forward. And so this is where our network of providers we work with comes into play. It's if someone comes into the office and they're just starting off their process, then we need to look at getting a counselor established, or look at getting, a psychiatrist involved. Okay,
so for a lot of people, that's going to be not what you answered, but the idea of kind of having to wait. You get impatient. You want to feel better as quickly as you can, right? So to just talk your way through it is not always expeditious.
Right. Well, there's only so much you can do. If you could just think your way out of it, you would have done so by now.
Okay.
There is physiology involved in how we think and feel. Our feelings are the result of how our brain processes stimuli of the world around us. And so what we're doing is we're optimizing the mechanism to make a more appropriate emotional and psychological response to your environment.
Yeah, that's important to stress, because the root belief that you stand by is that the brain can effectively heal itself.
Yeah, it's demonstrable. We can image the brain and watch it rebuild.
Okay, so if you're, again, the 28-year-old girl, and maybe you're taking a medication, and you don't like the way it makes you feel.
Right, the medication's there to provide some stability. The problem is for some patients, that's a very good thing, and other patients, that stability is kind of holding them stable in a place they don't want to stay.
Right.
If you're not, it can be limiting to their ability to feel better, just like it limits their ability to feel worse.
Is the medication, not to disparage it, but is it sometimes more like a treading water rather than moving forward?
Well, it's a safety net.
Okay.
But you can get stuck in a net. It's when people are ready to move forward, the limiting emotional effects that come with an antidepressant can also limit their progress.
Okay, so back to our 28-year-old. So she's there. Her first visit with you is a consultation where you get to know her, she hears the process, and you're not going to make it a one-size-fits-all, right? So might she begin on the TMS side of things to be a bit more conservative? If money is an issue, the insurance will pay for it?
Yeah, and it's really not, it's one of the few things that we get to do at our office with these novel therapies that is insurance reimbursable.
Okay.
They come in, we have them fill out the paperwork, we submit to insurance just like every other medical office in the world.
How long are you there when you do the TMS treatments? How long do they last?
It's about a 40-minute treatment, but it's much more frequent than with our ketamine infusion protocol. Ketamine infusion, I say all the time, is as it were, ketamine's the dynamite, TMS is the chisel. We're trying to move a mountain.
Okay.
And so ketamine, you come in 6 times over 3 weeks typically for a stabilization. With TMS, you'll come in 36 times over
the course
7 weeks and 1 day, usually.
Over 7 weeks and 1 day?
Yeah, so it's like 36, Monday through Fridays.
Okay, so when you leave after the first one, are you going to feel any different?
No.
Okay.
Because nothing real moves that fast.
Yes.
Okay,
so that's kind of good, though, I think, for people.
Your brain builds when you sleep at night. And so these catalysts, whether it be TMS or ketamine, stimulate the brain to release a protein. The protein is the treatment, not TMS, not ketamine.
Okay, wait, you got to go back.
Yeah, so think of what we're doing is we're introducing, with ketamine infusion, we introduce a chemical catalyst that changes the way the brain talks to itself without putting the brain to sleep. the brain will respond to try to reconnect what the ketamine's disconnected.
If your brain heals when you sleep, is that what you just said? Does that mean that if you are a person and you're walking these struggles and maybe you have nightmares and things like that, is nighttime even setting you back?
So
do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
Absolutely. You look at people who struggle with depression or anxiety, they also almost always struggle with sleep.
Yeah.
You know, in some fashion. And so what we do helps get the physiology back in line to where when you fall asleep, you don't stay in that lighter sleep where you dream.
Wow.
You sink into that deeper sleep. You don't sleep more, you sleep better.
Okay.
You know, and then you start to see that area improve. You'll start to see small changes throughout the treatment process.
Right.
But usually it's week 2 to week 3, patients come in and they just, the first description that I hear and the most common description I hear is that I feel lighter, like the weight's gone.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking for. It's not about feeling good. It's about feeling everything correctly, the right amount of good or the right amount of bad. That's
feeling properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When compared to the objective reality, when I look at something and say that should be enjoyable, why aren't I enjoying it? That's a problem.
If somebody comes to you and they say, "Listen, I don't really want to do the combo platter. I just want to do the TMS." Is that possible to do?
Absolutely. In fact, the ketamine is something we add in at no additional charge. So it wouldn't cost somebody extra. It's something that's an option to it just because it enhances the end outcome.
If they come in and they're currently taking a medication and they begin treatment with you on the TMS side, do they keep taking the medication?
They absolutely do. Because the medication it's slow to start working and it's real slow to come off. When the patient is ready to come off the medication eventually, we want to do that slowly and carefully and on the back end. So it's like we want to build them up to a certain point before we start tapering them off.
You talk about how, well, I only have a minute left, darn it. You talk about how you can see the brain healing. Do you get a visual of their particular brain?
We can. So like down at Dr. Amen's clinic down in Atlanta, I have several patients that have gone down there and done brain imaging. We don't do functional MRI in Chattanooga.
But if you wanted to, you can get it?
If they wanted to, and you wanted to and had the resources, they could go get that imaging, but it's like getting an x-ray to see that the arm's broken. If you hold your arm out here and it bends in the middle right here, the arm's broken. We treat based off of symptoms that present. But we use a very targeted 3-dimensional mapping.
This is why when you go to see him, your conversation's not going to be 7 minutes long, because it's just not enough time to even hardly scratch the surface. So he will give you his undivided attention if you make an appointment to go and see him. The initial one does not cost you anything. Just, please be mindful of his time and be serious about wanting to be interested in this before you make the appointment. But at ScenicCityNeurotherapy.com, 228-0579 is the phone number. Anxiety, depression, PTSD, any number of other things. He would love to help you find success.
Absolutely.
Gosh, that's so cool.
Hi, I'm Trevor. Welcome to the Hemp House. Let me show you where the treats are.
Our selection of local products allows the Hemp House to bring a little